Don't leave me hanging. It's go time.
Hey everybody, this is Josh, and here we have Game 2 in a best-of-3 series being played between DignitasSjoW, the blue Terran down on the bottom left of Xel'Naga Caverns, and OGS being played, once again, by oGsTOP. He's a very, very good South Korean player living in the OGS house with all those Team Liquid and other OGS players. And Game 1, oGsTOP actually managed to surprise SjoW. Somehow he managed to drop 3 Hellions in his base, and SjoW didn't react at all. So he lost that game extraordinarily quickly. But maybe he'll give a little bit of a better show for us this time around, huh? Huh? Okay, that was terrible. But if I know a pun is that obvious, I have to go for it. I'm sorry. But oGsTOP and SjoW, you know what? I'm not even going to cast the first 5.5 minutes because it's probably going to be identical for both. Just watch the production tab, and I'll sit here quietly. I'm just kidding. I'm going to cast. They're building supply depots. How exciting is it? Next will be a barracks for each player. I would bet money. How much money? I don't know. But there's barracks, and there's a barracks. And I kind of wish they had surprised me. If one player had just sent an SCV up here, built a barracks right here, lifted it up, dropped it in the shadows here, and built a bunch of Marines and bunkers, that would make my day. But unfortunately, these players are too standard for that at the moment. They're just going to do their very standard turn build against each other. And SjoW will... Hey everybody, this is Josh, and here we have Game 2 in a best-of-3 series being played between DignitasSjoW, the blue Terran down on the bottom left of Xel'Naga Caverns, and OGS being played, once again, by oGsTOP. He's a very, very good South Korean player living in the OGS house with all those Team Liquid and other OGS players. And Game 1, oGsTOP actually managed to surprise SjoW. Somehow he managed to drop 3 Hellions in his base, and SjoW didn't react at all. So he lost that game extraordinarily quickly. But maybe he'll give a little bit of a better show for us this time around, huh? Huh? Okay, that was terrible. But if I know a pun is that obvious, I have to go for it. I'm sorry. But oGsTOP and SjoW, you know what? I'm not even going to cast the first 5.5 minutes because it's probably going to be identical for both. Just watch the production tab, and I'll sit here quietly. I'm just kidding. I'm going to cast. They're building supply depots. How exciting is it? Next will be a barracks for each player. I would bet money. How much money? I don't know. But there's barracks, and there's a barracks. And I kind of wish they had surprised me. If one player had just sent an SCV up here, built a barracks right here, lifted it up, dropped it in the shadows here, and built a bunch of Marines and bunkers, that would make my day. But unfortunately, these players are too standard for that at the moment. They're just going to do their very standard turn build against each other. And SjoW will probably be the one to change it up if either player does change it up, just because he basically got clowned in that first game. And I don't use that term lightly. I don't like to use the word clowned, but sometimes it's appropriate. Anyway, both barracks finishing up here now. Top is about 1 second ahead on that Marine and that orbital command, and he is scouting first yet again. SjoW staying in his base for the second time in a row. That's a bit of a surprising tactic for a Terran player, to not scout. He is getting his orbital command up. Regardless, another supply depot coming down for both players. Nothing too exciting going on just yet. SjoW has a single Marine posted here. And you know SjoW, just based off of that last game, I know I don't cast a lot of SjoW's games, but he is really good. Like, if you go look on Team Liquid StarCraft 2 tournaments, or use the Team Liquid database, things like that, you'll see SjoW has a lot of wins in things like Zotac Cups, Go for SC2 Cups, all kinds of stuff. He is just week to week winning and getting top 3 places in all of these European tournaments. So the fact that Top was able to get the better of him in that first game in such extraordinary fashion is very surprising to me. Top, of course, is very good too. You don't see a lot of him since he wasn't in, the finals or semifinals of the GSL tournaments. People don't really know much about him. But yeah, he's really, really good. I've cast a game with oGsTOP before, and he's done very well for himself. So this Kaspersky StarCraft 2 New Year's Invitational should be a good chance for him to break out if he's able to repeat that performance against SjoW and move into the semifinals. He'll face another really good opponent and perhaps continue on into the, well, he will go into the semis if he wins this game, but he could continue on into the finals as well if he has another good performance. But SjoW is actually going to stick with his Hellions. He is not getting the pre-igniter upgrades this time around, just going to start chasing away this SCV from the Xel'Naga Tower to keep top from having that vision. And top, on the other hand, is actually going for his starport pretty quick compared to SjoW, so he is going to be fine sticking to what he did last game. Aside from the blue flame upgrades, he's getting tanks this time instead. So maybe that's just a very popular scrap station strategy for TVT, to just get the blue flame Hellions, do a nice drop. SjoW did a drop as well, but he actually went with the Marines and ended up not doing quite as well there against top. But top is now flipping that starport onto the tech lab, so we should be seeing some air units being produced here. I would expect a Banshee since he did drop it on this tech lab, but instead it looks like he's going for a Viking first and starting to expand here with a command center. And back in his factory, he's just getting another tech lab built so he can start building more siege tanks, eventually get siege tech, I would imagine. And SjoW, on the other hand, oh, top actually dropped a scan right there, so he didn't have to scout. Saw that Banshee coming out, perfect timing for that scan. And this factory is flipping around onto some other add-on. That means this barracks is probably going to end up taking this reactor, or perhaps the starport. No, it actually is going to be the barracks. This Banshee's flying around now, does not even have cloak researching though, so he's just going to go for some SCV kills and hope that he catches top sort of out of position. There's already a Viking in the air though, and a Raven coming along as well now for some detection, as well as, you know, point defense drones or some auto turrets or something like that. But Viking now shooting away at this Banshee. The Banshee can't even defend itself. This is just so one-sided. This Viking should be able to kill this Banshee before it's able to return all the way home. SjoW is actually expanding himself down here in the natural expansion area. Not much else going on. 2 gases for each player. We saw that already. Let's check the income tab, see who's ahead there. SjoW is up by 5 harvesters. This Viking looks like he did manage to kill that Banshee. We see he's got 1 kill. SjoW keeping watch on the Xel'Naga Tower over here, but this Viking is going to get some free scouting information, as there is not a lot of anti-air except right in the middle of SjoW's base. He's got this Raven here as well, so both players opting for a lot of Marines and a Raven in their main army composition. Top actually has a couple of tanks here though, and SjoW does not. He's going to build lots of medevacs here to go along with his bio ball. He's trying to crank out some Marines, but as we see, he is supply capped. Not going to be able to get those Marines out for a few seconds at least until the supply depot finishes. There it does, and this command center finishes as well for another 11 supply. So this Viking lands and actually chases away the Hellion, but now all these Marines from SjoW are moving across the middle of the map. This Raven is in tow, doesn't have enough energy for a point defense drone. Now he does, so we'll see if and when he actually uses that. Top sending over his orbital command right now to his natural, throwing up 2 more gas as well. He's got his tanks sieged here, so if top actually manages to lure SjoW into an attack, these siege tanks will do quite well against this number of Marines. It only takes a few blasts from a siege tank to level this force. This Hellion drives in and explodes immediately to this tank fire, so SjoW knows that he's not going to be able to attack head on, but instead I thought he was going to retreat back to his natural and maybe continue turtling up, building more forces. Instead, it looks like he's going to move her to the right side here. He might even try some ferry tactics and lift all those things up into the main here of oGsTOP. The tanks are sieged down here, so if he can actually manage to get 2 loads of units dropped up here, he will be able to do quite a lot of damage. This Viking's trying to take some shots here at the Raven, but point defense drone does go down here. That's only going to block Viking fire. Marine fire does not get blocked by point defense drone, neither does siege tank. So, oh wow, SjoW loses a lot of units there on the low ground to these 2 sieged tanks. Top doing a good job positioning his tanks to minimize that damage. A couple of turrets go down here to block against these Marines, but they are cleaning out the mineral line. I believe top already transferred the bulk of his SCVs. Yes, he did. So these Marines basically are caught here in no man's land with no real targets except for this Viking now. The Viking should be able to kill off the rest of these Marines before it goes down though, and SjoW's attack has been thwarted. He backed off a little bit here and has tried to reposition over on the left side. If he continues on, these tanks are still here, probably going to be able to take care of these Marines quite easily. There, oh man, another blast goes off. Viking doing some good spotting there. He knows exactly where SjoW's army is. Sieges these tanks with plenty of range here to be able to blast these Marines here in the back of the mineral line. And you see that nice explosion. I think a Marine's head just went all the way in here into the mineral line, but SjoW is forced to back off yet again. He's got a lot of medevacs, not too many Marines left, and a single siege tank. Top, on the other hand, just look at units lost. Top actually has lost more units, but less resources worth. I think a couple of SCVs were probably lost there. Yeah, we see SjoW is actually ahead 43 to 36. I think I called that incorrectly earlier. I think Top actually had more SCVs earlier in the game, but these players actually switched colors on me between game and 1 and 2, so you can't really blame me. But these two Marines poking down at the Xel'Naga Tower. SjoW is already there, able to ward it off with some nice stim movement there. And looks like he is breaking down the destructible rocks here at his high yield. Looks like he's going to try and continue this game into a later stage here, but once again he is supply capped here, trying to get all these Marines out. Factory and starport not really doing much here, and I don't know, let's look at income and see what else is going on here. More workers for SjoW still, that is to be expected because he did just take this gold. Mineral count should be way higher, as we see here. Gas is about the same, they're both on 4 gas, and SjoW will just continue mining up these high yield minerals. He's sitting at 97 over 97. Top is at 98, now up to 101. So these armies are actually very similar still. Top just noticeably has a lot more tanks and no medevacs on the field, whereas SjoW is actually going heavy into bio. This Viking is out here scouting around, seeing what's up. He'll see the high yield expansion there from SjoW. SjoW actually loaded up a medevac with 8 Marines. Looks like he was prepping for another drop. He's also got another contingent over on the left side of the map here, so he may be doing a 2-pronged attack. Top, however, moving now with his 7 tanks and lots of Marines here, could be in a good position to stop this high yield mineral base. There's not a lot of fighting units from SjoW here. He does manage to siege up, is not fast enough really to catch those Marines of Top, so Top is going to siege up just out of range. Look at that, he's got a great idea of what range he can park these tanks without getting hit by SjoW's. Point defense drone goes down from SjoW to block some Viking fire, but really that's not going to matter. Point defense drone just gets killed off. This siege tank is actually in range of this command center. Top moving up the rest of his tanks to be able to blast away here, so SjoW is forced to make a move. He could just lift off this command center, but now all these Vikings are here to take free hits. There's not enough anti-air here from SjoW to stop the Vikings, so this command center will go down here if no SCVs show up in the near future to repair it, and it looks like Top is bent on getting that command center destroyed. It is starting to burn down now. It's only got 50 health left. SjoW is starting to move into the natural of Top. I'm going to keep that command center selected just to see if it burns down, but here we have all the SCVs being pulled from Top's mineral line. Lots of Marines, a couple of tanks here to defend against this. The command center does finally blow up, so Top actually looks like he may be struggling, but he's got the bulk of his army here that was parked at that command center at the gold now coming up into his main, into his natural actually, to be able to defend against all of this. Vikings now just trying to pick off medevacs. There are hardly any fighting units here, only a couple of Marauders and a single Marine here to fight against this number of Vikings. It's going to take absolutely forever for that Marine to kill anything. Top knows when he's got an advantage. He's moving now with 108 food army. SjoW still at 106, so not too far behind, but look just at the number of tanks and Marines here. I have to believe that Top is going to be able to go through this force of Marauders and the siege tank, and there he does quite quickly, and now we'll continue to move on. He's at a 108 over 100 supply here. SjoW dwindling quickly here, losing structures, losing that high yield base. The Marines and tanks just march right in. Top doing a good job leapfrogging these tanks, sieging them in front of other sieged tanks. Point defense drone goes down yet again, but does not really block too much. Oh, this time it's actually from Top, so all that Marauder fire was blocked by this point defense drone. SjoW knows when he's beat, GG's out of there, and Top will continue on into the semifinals. So SjoW put up a much better showing there in the second game compared to the first, but Top proved to be too much for him. A couple of attacks didn't really go his way. Top showed some really good positioning there with these tanks. He's shown that he knows how to use them quite well. So he will move into the semifinals. SjoW will go home with $50 American, and the Kaspersky StarCraft 2 New Year's Invitational will continue on. This was the last game of the quarterfinals that I've had to cast, so now I can actually start casting the semifinal games. Some of the games have already been cast on other channels, but not in their full best-of-3 formats, so I'm going to go ahead and bring you the best-of-3 from each of those semifinal matches, and eventually the finals as well, so you can watch and enjoy these Korean players continue to rampage around like Godzilla in Tokyo. Hope you guys enjoy it. I'll see you soon.